How you doing, everybody? It's been a little while since I've done a martial arts video. So my friend Bob is gonna help me out with teaching self-defense against a crosshand knife hand. Now, broadly speaking, if someone is attacking you with a crosshand knife hand, it can be a very dangerous strike. It's something that you can't take too lightly, but however that person was trained, they probably aren't necessarily that smart, because it isn't a great way to attack someone. But if you don't take it serious, it can be very dangerous. And so typically with any crosshand strike, the person brings the hand across their body first, and then for that crosshand knife hand, it's gonna chop out or forward. So they'll bring it up and across and then chop out. And if I don't take it seriously, it can be very dangerous, because if the person's attacking like into the side of my neck or into my airway, that can be really serious. And so I need to treat it as a threat. Now, I've seen a handful of people doing self-defense lessons where they talk about using a fist, making sure you're using these two knuckles, straight line through the wrist so that you don't end up spraining or injuring your wrist in the process. And all of those videos are great. And there are a whole bunch of things that you can do with your hands or with readily available objects to intercept the person's attack for your self-defense, and then also to neutralize that person as a threat. The crosshand knife hand strike might look goofy. Like, you might see the person doing it and just immediately think derogatory name-calling type things about that person. And that's probably valid. But just because they are worthy of ridicule does not mean that they are not dangerous. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna start with a stick. For anybody that's been with me for a while, that's probably the last thing that you thought you'd hear me say. This particular stick is made from a material called rattan. They are readily available, not too expensive, very portable, and not too heavy. There are two ways that we are gonna think about using this stick. Extremities make for excellent targets. And so, as the person prepares to launch that crosshand knife hand, as that gets ready to go out, you can think about taking the stick and flicking out towards the hand. And when you get really good, you can also put just a little bit of resistance on it at the beginning, so then it flicks out with even a little bit more velocity. If the hands aren't a good option for whatever reason, another really good option is the collarbone. Remember the thing about sticks and stones breaking your bones? A collarbone is only a little bit bigger around than a pencil, and it is extremely important for your shoulders mobility. And so attacking those bones can really inhibit the person's ability to deliver whatever attack it is that they've got planned after their crosshand knife hand strike fails. For those of you that didn't know the history of the crosshand knife hand strike, it has been guilty of some like tremendous devastation in various attacks and other things, but it has always failed. Like, if you took the word loser and made it into a hand strike, it would be a crosshand knife hand strike. You could take the stick and attack other important bones, like the skull. But now you're getting into territory where you need to be really mindful. You don't want to attack somebody's skull with a weapon unless you are in a position to justifiably demonstrate that your life was at risk. And in different states, those rules and laws are very, very different. Since I've got a lightsaber on sale, we are going to turn this informative piece of self-defense into a commercial. So this lightsaber is called the Banhammer. I introduced it on the site at a special price, and that is going to last until the 25th because the TikTok ban got repealed or something. You still can't download it off the App Store, so I don't know. Now, if you get a shorter saber blade, like a 24 or a 26 inch, then that same flicking motion that we did just a little while ago, that still applies. Now, for me, if I'm using two hands, I like to leave this part of my grip a little bit more relaxed. When I'm using one, I use these fingers as the part that's more relaxed. But you're gonna find what's comfortable for you. You just need to make sure you practice. When I lift to do my strike, it's really important. I don't wanna lift behind me, because that doesn't add any power to my strikes at all. But I can come up basically to in front of my face and have that be where I strike down from. And that's really where I want to operate from an overhead. And now from here, from this high guard, I can attack on a lot of different vectors. It doesn't just have to be straight down. The nice part about coming straight down is that if the person doesn't move and they try to, bring their crosshand knife hand up to protect them or whatever, then the energy doesn't dissipate. It just goes into them. Maybe my person that's delivering that crosshand knife hand, maybe they're a little bit more trained, maybe they're a little bit more competent. I can lift up to bring their attention up and then come down, striking maybe into the ribs, or even thinking about striking kind of middle of the body. Because here where the body hinges, there's a lot of stuff close to the surface that it's really painful to get struck in those areas. And I can still think about coming in towards the collarbones, because this is super bad for your collarbone. So if you need a lightsaber better than a stick, you could grab the band hammer right now. It's at a great discount. If you've got access to a stick, also excellent for self-defense. And remember to maintain the connections within your community. Everywhere there has ever been one of those individuals that likes to open their attack with that crosshand knife hand strike, they're never alone because they're always cowards. And so you have to make sure that you are also not alone. Because no matter how good you are, if it's one of you against 5 cowards, it's still 5 against 1. There's a story I'm gonna not tell right now. So remember, that strike can be dangerous. If somebody is coming towards you with it, I, as a martial arts professional, consider it a threat. You may feel differently, and the context is going to tell you whether it is or it is not. If I think someone is coming towards me with a crosshand knife hand strike, I have a right to protect my body and my safety. And if the person's body language and verbal language suggests that they are there for violence, that might tell me that I need to treat it as such. So remember all of that.